Hello and welcome to this special show on Rajya Sabha Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and here we take a stock of India's battle against COVID-19. Now, very recently, India and South Africa both have presented a proposal to World Trade Organization, that is WTO, seeking relaxation for intellectual property as well as patents and other such provisions for medicines and vaccines related to coronavirus. What exactly is the proposal, the rationale behind it, and how does it help in the battle against COVID-19? We'll try and look at all these aspects, and we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests today. Let me first introduce the guests to you, beginning with Mr. O.P. Gupta, Controller General of Patents, Designs and Trademarks at DPIIT in Ministry of Commerce and Industry with the Government of India. We also have with us Mr. Jayan Dasgupta, former ambassador to the WTO, and Ms. Leena Menghani. She is the lawyer with MSF Access Campaign, that is Doctors Without Borders. Welcome all of you to Rajya Sabha Television. Let me begin with you, Mr. Dasgupta, and let's start by understanding a bit about this proposal which has been given by both India and South Africa to WTO and the rationale behind such proposal.
The first thing is that under the TRIPS agreement of the WTO, intellectual property, which can be in the form of copyright, trademarks, patents, industrial design, and so on, electronic circuits, they are protected. And the the intellectual property rights holder has the right to use it for benefit. Now that is ensured by the government, which are signatories to the WTO. Now, in the wake of the COVID pandemic, there are various products, medical products, which are required to take action against the pandemic and to provide relief to the people. They are, for instance, the simplest thing is a mask, then the PPE kit, then a diagnostic kit, then medicines which can ameliorate the conditions or lead to quick recovery, and finally, vaccines. Now, these are products which are subject to different kinds of protection under the TRIPS agreement. And as far as vaccines and medicines are concerned, they are under patent protection. And medicine, for instance, there are medicines like dexamethasone and remdesivir, which are being used, which are already under patent protection. Vaccines are things which are in the process of development, but once they are developed, they will get patent protection as well. Now, if a country wants to use the medical products in a hurry, because time is running short, and it does not have these products patented in its own country or being produced in adequate quantities in its own country, then it will have to take action to produce them in the required quantities without getting unnecessarily burdened by the requirements of the TRIPS agreement to provide protection to the patent holders or the intellectual property holders. Now, this is what India and South Africa have sought through this submission, that till a vaccine is found and till there is a large number of the people are protected by usage of the vaccine against the pandemic, these intellectual property right protections will be kept in abeyance. That is the submission that India and South Africa have made. And this will include protection from copyright, from trademarks, from industrial designs, and from patents, and also from industrial secrets, undisclosed industrial information, which is known as a trade secret. So all these aspects will get covered if there is a consensus decision at the WTO to give a waiver to the TRIPS obligations of different countries.
But is this somewhat similar, Mr. Dasgupta, to the one which was, such proposal made decades ago as far as HIV/AIDS is also concerned?
There was a declaration in Doha, which is known as the Public Health Declaration of 2001 of the WTO. That was given in the light of HIV/AIDS, but tuberculosis, malaria and other epidemics were mentioned in the opening sentences. So other epidemics are covered, and that is why we are using this to put forward our case for a waiver.
Okay.
Now, 2001 decision was followed up with another decision of the WTO in 2005, which led to the insertion of a separate agreement article called Article 31 bis in the TRIPS agreement, which says that poor countries which do not either have insufficient or no capacity to produce medicines, for instance, they can get medicines produced in a third country, which again may have the patent rights or may use compulsory licenses to provide medicines to such poor countries. Earlier, the TRIPS agreement as signed in 1995 provided the facility of compulsory licenses only for domestic use within a country and only for domestic requirements or for anti-competitive behavior.
Okay.
With the addition of Article 31 bis in 2005, a country like India, for instance, could be asked to produce medicines under compulsory license and export it to countries which had insufficient or no manufacturing capacity. For instance, many countries in Africa benefited in tackling the AIDS pandemic by using medicines from India.
Okay. Okay. Let me bring in Mr. O.P. Gupta here as well. Mr. Gupta, from your point of view, this proposal to ease IP rules specifically for COVID-19, how significant is this?
Indian patent law already has all those provisions whereby India can issue compulsory licenses or use patented products for use of its own citizens. Now, the current proposal, as Mr. Dasgupta has just mentioned in the TRIPS, I think the major component in that is that India is probably taking leadership on behalf of the developing and underdeveloped countries where they do not or may not have the capacities to use these technologies and produce things at in their countries. Now, Article 31 bis of TRIPS, which was an exception provided for, was a very cumbersome, it includes a very cumbersome process. And therefore, probably this proposal says that in related to COVID-19, certain provisions of the TRIPS agreement may be kept in abeyance so as to provide access of medicine and all these technologies which are going to be available to fight this COVID-19 pandemic to all these countries without any delay. Okay. And that's, I understand, is probably the basic background of this proposal.
Okay.
Because Indian Patent Act already has all those provisions where we can use these within India without any problem, as we have made those provisions in our law, Indian Patent Act, all those exceptions we have utilized.
Okay, okay. Let me bring in Leena here from MSF. Leena, accessibility of drugs or vaccine, specifically in, a very troublesome times like these when we are tackling a pandemic at a worldwide level, becomes a really, really important issue. And while, you have several world leaders talking about it and other organizations working on it as well, this seemingly, that is, this move which has been made by India and South Africa is the real work on the ground there to ensure that the accessibility is allowed.
Yeah, it's actually a very responsible and a very bold step that India has taken. And it's not surprising because India has played quite a leadership role on intellectual property and access to medicines. Starting right from the 1970s till date, India's sort of pushed the intellectual property bracket in a way that allows, patients and governments to be able to treat their diseases and very poor and marginalized communities. Now, what's very interesting about this proposal is that if you look at COVID is just not a public health emergency. It's an economic emergency. If people are losing their livelihoods, there are higher rates of malnutrition. And if we are to address COVID, we need every tool that we could possibly have to prevent, vaccinate, and treat our way out of this epidemic. And if we to do that, we need to be able to scale up manufacturing. And it's not just India. You look at a number of other countries who have manufacturing capacity. All countries who have manufacturing capacities should be completely unhindered by intellectual property and should be able to provide access to the vaccines and drugs and masks and ventilators. Now, one of the challenging factors I wanted to highlight was that developed countries till now have been, signing these massive agreements to ensure that their populations are protected, the vaccines and the drugs are available to the populations, to a large number of their population. Now, what's happening to developing countries is that many developing countries can't possibly enter into these very expensive deals with multinational corporations. And therefore, in solidarity, we need to be able to increase the size of the pie. We should be able to scale up manufacturing. And to do that, we need this very bold move at the WTO. All member countries should support India and South Africa on this.
Okay. Mr. Jayant Dasgupta, how, easy or difficult will it be to get proposal like this passed in TRIPS Council meeting, which we're talking about, given the situation which is there worldwide right now, and some points mentioned by Ms. Leena out there that there are, corporates and pharmaceutical companies which are working overtime, spending money on R&D as well. So their viewpoint might be a bit different than what exactly might be discussed out there.
Absolutely right. I think the main, as far as vaccines are concerned, the patents are likely to be in the hands of the companies from the US, from Europe, Germany, for instance, and the UK and Sweden. AstraZeneca is a British-Swedish company. And of course, there could be Russian companies and Chinese companies as well, which have all been part of this drive to get to a vaccine as quickly as possible. Now, as far as the West is concerned, it has always taken a very conservative approach, that it has sunk a lot of money into research, and that once it gets a blockbuster, which is a drug which can sell, or a vaccine which can sell for more than $1 billion worldwide, then it needs to make that blockbuster pay for all the attempts which have been made, and infructuous attempts to develop other medicines and vaccines. So that is the basic philosophy that the drug companies will try to push forward. Now, if you look at this 2001 Public Health Declaration in the WTO, it was made possible because of the intervention of President Bush, who pushed the pharma companies, the big companies in the US, and of course the companies in Europe also then came aboard. That this was a public health emergency, especially the HIV/AIDS issue, and that this should be allowed. So the impetus came from the WHO and from President Bush, and there was pressure on the American companies, and then that is how this Public Health Declaration of 2001 could take place. Okay. So I presume that unless there is collective global leadership on this issue, there would be resistance at first from the commercial companies, and that will have to be overcome through political intervention. And whether that comes quickly or it takes a little bit of time, that remains to be seen. Because ultimately a decision will have to be taken in the General Council of the WTO by consensus, as is the want in the WTO. So even if one country objects, there will be no decision. So that is of the essence, that the leaders of the world come together and put pressure on and persuade the companies which are headquartered in their own country to come forward as a humanitarian gesture and agree to this TRIPS waiver. Okay.
Leena, your views on that, as in, the difficulty this proposal might face, or, given these extraordinary times, perhaps this proposal will be taken on board by all concerned?
You're asking me?
Yes, Leena.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things that has gone sort of unnoticed is possibly in the popular mind. Actually, R&D is done by pharma companies, but actually most of the riskiest research actually happens in our labs. And if you look at the CRISPR technology that IGIB has just developed and is now non-exclusively licensing to companies for diagnostic, upstream research, actually the foundations of vaccines and drugs, and in fact, even testing that we are seeing today comes from public labs. Now that's one. The pharma companies are merely picking up exclusive rights over it. And number two is this, I think countries like the European Union, and you can see countries in Latin America, and you see many, many other countries extremely concerned about intellectual property. I think what India and South Africa's proposal will do is bring a lot of allies and to talk about this issue. And I think it's a brilliant move that India and South Africa have done by opening up the debate on what is going to happen in the near future on intellectual property. Okay. And it will bring allies and supporters. And moreover, actually, the public opinion, I think, will favor South Africa and India quite unabashedly. Okay. There will be a lot of popular support for this proposal that South Africa and India have made. And that's why, as MSF, we are very keen to talk and debate this further. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. O.P. Gupta, your views there on that. I'll come back to you, Mr. Das Gupta. But Mr. O.P. Gupta, before I come to you, Mr. Gupta, what do you think in terms of, proposals like these in extraordinary situations like these?
See, this proposal, as I see it, is actually a logical, consequential step to the World Health Assembly, resolution in the 73rd Assembly, where they resolved that to fight COVID-19, certain steps need to be taken by all the member states. And of course, the word used is in tune with, in an agreement with all the prevailing international agreements. Mm-hmm. There are certain specific references in that resolution to the TRIPS agreement and the, universal access without any discrimination to each and every person in the world for all the technology and all the consequential products and processes coming out relating to COVID-19. Okay. And therefore, since that resolution was passed unanimously, as per my understanding, in the World Health Organization, I'm hopeful that this proposal should also get the support in general. Of course, regarding, as I said, patent rights, there may be certain reservations in certain countries that whether this should, lead to further relaxation in IP regime. I guess that they can be put to rest that this particular proposal relates to only specific situations. Okay. And that too a global pandemic emergency which has been declared by the World Health Organization. Okay. And therefore, I really look forward to this proposal getting support across the table, across the countries without much reservation, as I understand.
Okay. Mr. Das Gupta, you wanted to come in and add something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I read in the papers quite a while ago that AstraZeneca has mentioned that it would not make profit from the vaccine that it is developing in collaboration with Oxford University. And Serum Institute, which is making it under a license or is likely to make it under a license from AstraZeneca, has said that it will sell it for $3 a dose, and 2 doses would be required. But these are preliminary statements, and if we are to go by AstraZeneca's statement that it does not intend to make profits from COVID vaccine, then that is something which is extremely laudable. And that is an example which should be followed by other large pharma companies like Pfizer and Moderna and the others who are also in the process of developing COVID vaccine.
Okay, definitely. Actually, these are, these views definitely do matter. Yes, Leena?
So I just wanted to highlight that in some ways that the deals that Big Pharma is sort of giving to Brazil and to India and all of that, they come with some strings attached, that if you produce this vaccine, you've got to sell it only in the low-income countries and your own domestic market. Mm-hmm. The lucrative markets are going to be reserved by them for their own profiteering. And I think this is really very crucial because if you look at what is today happening on the research that, Oxford University did and, developing the vaccine, it is a people's vaccine. It belongs to people because people funded it. So, companies cannot dictate where it can go and cannot go. And I think this is where India and South Africa's legal step, so to speak, at the TRIPS agreement sort of unties our hand from, sort of dictating where these vaccines and drugs should very much go. Okay. Now, as MSF, we don't treat people only in LDCs or a few low-income countries. We are treating people in middle-income countries. And in many of these middle-income countries, the agreements that are signed between, for example, Indian companies and Big Pharma, the drugs don't reach because they block Indian generics from reaching those countries. Now, the voluntary license seems very lucrative. If Mr. Gupta reads it, he's very happy because Indian patients are getting it. But then Brazilian patients are not getting it, and Thai patients are not getting it, and so many others are not getting it. So when you look at the pandemic, we've got to have a global solution. And pharma companies can't dictate where drugs and vaccines or more affordable drugs and vaccines can reach.
Okay.
Lastly, I just want to like to highlight, we're in the middle of working with governments as MSF to deliver COVID treatments. And if we look at the situation on intellectual property, it has affected the availability of masks, reagents for testing, ventilator parts, the nitty-gritties that we need for treatment. So, we've got to look beyond vaccines and look at treatment and how intellectual property has an impact on that. Okay. And that's why this proposal is so very important for all countries included.
Okay, definitely. It is really, really important, specifically from the global scenario. But I'd like to bring in Mr. Gupta once again here before we, finish this discussion. And this is specifically from India's point of view, Mr. O.P. Gupta. As you were saying earlier, very hopeful that this proposal will get the nod of the TRIPS Council and finally the general body as well. But what will change on the ground as far as India's battle against COVID-19 is concerned here in our country if proposal, this one gets approved out there?
Now, let me very clearly say and explain to it that this proposal will make actually no impact regarding India's, situation, because Indian law already have all those provisions inbuilt in our system. So India can very well use any technology in the world available for its own citizens and for purposes through our legal provisions. Okay. We have legal provisions regarding compulsory licenses. We have legal provisions regarding use of technology for public purposes, for government use, and all such provisions which are there. In fact, that we should really kind of congratulate our lawmakers at that point of time who could foresee such situations probably coming ever in future, that our law already has those provisions. Okay. What I understand is that this proposal is very important from global point of view, as Lina is pointing out, because India actually has the technical and manufacturing capacities and capabilities to really help ameliorate this situation in many countries across the world. Okay. And that's where this current proposal becomes important, because the current setup does have provisions, but they're really cumbersome procedures where those countries then can access, those provisions of compulsory licensing and import-export related provisions under TRIPS to really use all those product and processes and things which can ameliorate the situation. Okay. But India, if this proposal gets approved, then all those restrictions and cumbersome procedures gets removed. Okay. And in that sense, then it becomes a very, open field where India or any other country which has the technological know-how and capacities to really help people across the world, irrespective of borders. Okay, so it does help us, in terms of scaling up our operations in helping other countries, other people out there fighting this battle against COVID-19, as Ms. Lina was also pointing out, several low-income and middle-income nations where this sort of intervention is required. Thank you so much, Mr. O.P. Gupta, Ms. Lina, as well as Mr. Jain Das Gupta, for sharing your views with us and our viewers on this very important topic. That is the proposal made by India and South Africa to go ahead and
relax the IP norms, that is intellectual property, as well as patent norms for coronavirus drugs and vaccines as well. We'll wait and watch, and we'll keep you updated on all the developments on this front. Meanwhile, we'll take a break here. On the other side, there'll be some more new programs. Keep watching Rajya Sabha television, but please do not forget to wear a face mask when you step out of your houses. Thank you.